Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends and fellows. How are you? Dear friends, my name is Abdul Khalik. Look, there are several bodily needs of every human being, me and you and the rest of the people. We should try to fulfill all of those needs because if at all we don't do that, who else is going to do that? Probably no one else. So it is incumbent upon us, it is a responsibility, it is an obligation that upon doing certain other things, many other things, we should also focus upon what are my personal needs and how to fulfill that. Dear friends, some of the needs are the bodily needs, some of the needs are the bodily needs, and these bodily needs are important indeed. But another some of these are the psychological needs. Now, as for these psychological needs are concerned, these are not any way lesser important than the bodily need. So we should be doing everything else we can to be able to fulfill those psychological needs. One such very important psychological need is that we should be having the self esteem, the self worth, or the self confidence, because these are very important for us. Unless and until we have it, I think we cannot live a peaceful and a happy life at all. My dear friends, I think we should be doing everything else we can to build our self esteem, and we should avoid everything else which does damage our self esteem, our self respect, our self worth, our self confidence. Today we have made it a topic of our today's discussion, and certain things have been unlisted. Now these certain things may be 14 in number. These things should be avoided if at all we want to do, if at all we want to build our self-esteem, our self-respect. Because if at all we keep doing all of these things, some of these things either consciously or unconsciously, deliberately or indeliberately, without knowing the consequences of these, without knowing the impact of these upon our personality, I think we should be stop doing it as soon as we can. Because unless and until we do have a self-esteem, a self-worth, I think every success is a useless thing, is absolutely of no use if at all we are lacking the self-esteem, the self-worth, the self-confidence. So these 14 things in number we must avoid so that we could start collecting the self-esteem, so that we could live with the self-worth, with the self-confidence, with the self-respect. First of all, let's talk about every time something bad happens by us, something wrong we do either consciously or unconsciously. I think in both the cases, we need to apologize. We need to say sorry. We need to say, excuse me. We need to say that, okay, it is slightly big and I'm ready for the compensation, etc. I think apologizing, it is the sign of politeness. But since everything in moderation is good, and in excess everything else is bad, and so is the over apologizing, I think that we shouldn't be over apologize at all. If at all something is not my fault, not my error, why to seek the apology? Now I shall like to see put forward an example that if at all you or I have a son or a daughter, and this son or a daughter didn't do any bad thing at all, still we are trying to realize them that they were wrong and they should say sorry, they should apologize to that particular person, despite the fact that they didn't do anything bad at all. I think it will be very much bad, it will be very much bad for the psychology, for the self confidence, for the self worth and self respect of those children, girl or boy. In the same manner, if at all we are asking ourselves to over apologize, if at all we have made it a habit, either consciously or unconsciously, I think we need to get out of that and stop over apologizing. The second is avoiding the eye contact. The eye contact is something really good. Something really good. If at all we look into the eyes of someone else for a second in a friendly manner, I think that is really good. But trying to avoid the eye contact, it does show that maybe the person is lacking the self confidence, the self worth. So, this is very, very important not to avoid the eye contact. Look into the eyes of another person for a single second in a friendly manner. Now, the third thing which we need to avoid it, frequently saying yes. Frequently saying yes, even if at all we really mean no. We say yes without much of the thinking. Why? Because we are of the view that if at all I don't say yes, the other person will be annoyed. I think the other person will be annoyed. That is something bad. We don't need to do much care of that. But prior to that, I think that we need to think whether it is right or wrong, whether it is okay or not okay for me. So, my dear friends, for all of that reason, never say yes when you really mean no. Think well before saying yes. If it does suit you, if it is morally or ethically okay, then don't hesitate to say yes. Otherwise, never ever hesitate to say no. The fourth thing, neglecting self care. Self care is very important. Dear friends, suppose that there is anybody who is sick at home, at my home, at your home. Shouldn't we be taking care of them? Of course, we need to do that. If there is a child unable to fulfill their own need, shouldn't we take care of them? If there is a guest, shouldn't we take care of them? Of course, we do need to take care of all these people. But at the same time, in the same manner, it is not any way lesser important at all to take care of ourselves. Unless and until we do that, I think we will be committing excesses against ourselves. We will be spoiling ourselves. So, never neglect self care. And if at all, as much as we do take care of a guest and others, in the same manner, we need to take care of ourselves as well. And sometimes even more than that of a guest. And now the fifth is seeking constant validation. Seeking constant validation. I think it is good to seek the feedback. It is good to seek the advice, but constantly seeking the validation of someone else, it means that maybe we are absolutely unable to understand what is good and what is right. So, constant validation, I think we shouldn't be seeking this thing at all. Now, the sixth is avoiding new experiences. Why to avoid the new experiences? Because we are in the comfort zone, we want to stay in the comfort zone, or because we are afraid of the failure. Whatever the reason, I think as for the new experiences are concerned, there is a lot to learn out of those new experiences. So, for this reason and for that case, never ever ignore, never ever seek the validation of other people for all the time. So sometimes it is okay, sometimes it is okay, but frequently seeking the validation not okay at all. Now the sixth is avoiding new experiences, and now the seventh is neglecting personal passions. Neglecting personal passions. Look, some of the things are our interest and we need to pursue our interest. Some of the things are much, much more than just the interest. So these things are called passions. So if at all we do have a passion, and it is we need to pursue our passion with the full vigor, with the full effort and struggle in a positive manner. Positive passion, if at all, it does not hurt other people at all. other creations at all. I think that we should be proud of our passions, and we must be following our passions, because these passions, these interests, and these passions bring color to our life. So, why to ignore it? Rather, to base our life upon these passions. And now the eighth is self deprecating humor. Self deprecating humor. Why to self deprecate ourselves at all? Why to belittle ourselves at all? Why to ridicule ourselves at all? I think none of these at all. What we need to do is that we need to give ourselves respect, we need to give ourselves importance. And now the ninth is perfectionism. Perfectionism. We, the human being, we can never be perfect at all. So why to seek the perfection, and why not to seek? Why to seek the perfection? It is absolutely wrong. We rather need to seek the excellence, and we need to know how to gain the excellence. The sole way to gain the excellence is improvement, improvement, and gradual improvement. This bit by bit, this gradual improvement will take us toward the excellence. But as for the perfection is concerned, never ever go for a perfection at all. Now the tenth is struggling with decision making. Struggling with the decision making. Decision making as a skill. Decision making as a knowledge. Decision making as an awareness. We must be acquiring it, and that is the most important skill ever. I think we need to learn it. Here during this talk, I shall not be able to talk about that much, but in the very next discussion, I think I will take it as a decision making skill, how to develop it, because nothing is as important as the decision making skill for a human being. Whatever we are, whatever our life is, it is only because of the decisions we make, because of the choices we take. So, dear friend, decision making, struggling to make the decision. I think decision making should be done in a right way, through proper channel, and there should be a criteria and a standard. And this criteria and standard, this SOPs, standard operating procedure, must be pursued, my dear friend, while making the decision. Now, the 11th is comparing yourself with others. Comparing yourself with others, we should never be doing this at all, for the reason that everybody has been made unique by our creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even the twin brothers, they cannot be the same. If at all the twin brothers cannot be the same, so why to compare our life with the life of another person? Because everybody was created unique, and everybody was given an absolutely a totally different sort of atmosphere, circumstances. So the two of these reasons combined, I think it make us a totally different human being, an absolutely unique product. Now the next is, the 12th is difficulty accepting compliments. If at all somebody is praising us, is complimenting us, not to think that I don't deserve it, that this person is doing so only because they don't know me well, only because they don't know certain other things of mine. I think that is absolutely negative approach, and we should be totally and warmly accepting every compliment. And now the 13th is being overly defensive. What is this, by the way? A person is talking about something else, something which is not so good, and something which is bad, so we start defending ourselves. I am so good, I am so good, I don't do the bad thing, I didn't do this bad thing. I think that approach is absolutely wrong, unless and until somebody point toward us personally that have you done anything like this one, anything bad as this one, till then I think we shouldn't be defensive at all. And even at this moment, I think we don't need to answer each and everyone else. But there are certain stages, there are certain people, certain situations where we do have to defend ourselves, but we don't need to become overly defensive. And if at all somebody is criticizing us, even then it is not necessary that we start defending ourselves, but we need to look upon it intelligently, where I need to say something in my defense and where I need to become silent. And now the 14th and the last is ignoring your own needs. We should not be ignoring our needs at all. If at all we are ignoring our needs, it actually means that we are destroying ourselves. We don't need to destroy ourselves at all. Rather, we need to protect it, protect us. Rather, we need to develop us. And if at all we want to develop us, which must be done, we need to actualize our potential. Our capabilities must be tapped. Our talents must be utilized in the best possible manner. And if at all this is the case, why to ignore this our own need? I think we should be trying to fulfill every important need we do have, and in this manner we can better nourish ourselves. We can bring the best out of ourselves. So my dear friends and fellows, if at all somebody think that the self esteem is important, self respect, self worth is important, self confidence is important, they should stop doing all of these 14 things. And unless and until they don't get rid of these things, they will never be able to feel the self esteem, will feel the self respect, self worth, and self confidence. Thank you very much.